Well, good evening. Hello. What's up? What's up? Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Gifted Table. We are streaming live right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. And listen, if you're not already a subscriber to the Gifted Table, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified when our next episodes are ready to roll out because we are here to put all the gifts on the table. I am your excited and delighted host, Dr. Melanie Harris, and thank you for pulling up your seat and taking a nice seat right here at the gifted table. And as you know, when we go live, I'm never alone. Never sitting at the table by myself because we have room at the table. So my dude, my guy who's always here, Chris, is in the house. He's going to come up and say hi to y'all, I think.
Melanie, it's always good to see you. It's always good to be here on the gifted table. How are you doing?
Listen, I am booked, busy, and blessed.
Hey, look at that. Come on with it. That's what I'm talking about. I need some of that.
But no, I've really just been chilling. I've been chilling a lot, as a lot of folks know who either follow me on my Facebook. I am still recovering right now from recent surgery, going through my Abbey Chronicles. Those of you know who the Abbey is, but we have served eviction notice. So, but doing good. God is amazing, and so happy to be here at the table, ready to do this live with you and our very special guest that we have today. Did you see that topic?
Yes. Leaders need to elevate themselves. I think
Listen,
I'm really ready to hear some real good information. Every time I watch one of your videos, I'll be like taking notes, like, oh man, this is some good stuff. So I'm ready for another one.
listen, I'll be taking some notes too. I want to hear what both you and our special guest have to say. And for those of you who probably didn't catch the title, today we are going to talk about why leaders, why leaders should seek elevation. Why leaders? Why do we as leaders? And again, leadership is defined by however you want to define. Leaders on your job, leaders in your home, leaders at your church, wherever you are a leader. Why do we need to elevate? But you know, the gifted table, we really focus here on women because this is a platform for us and our profession, our purpose, our passion, and our perseverance. And so today we have the pleasure pulling her seat up real close is Dr. Ayanna Davis. Hello, Queen.
Hello, good evening.
Welcome to the gifted table, ma'am.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
So glad that you're here. So glad you're here. So we were just saying how we have a mutual friend. I want to give a shout out right now to our girl, Kasana Gibson. Thank you for connecting us. Didn't even know that we had these less than 6 degrees of separation. We went to the same junior high school. You know,
Absolutely.
props to Curtis. Well, it's Curtis Middle School now. Curtis Junior
For
High.
junior high school.
Curtis Junior High School, Carson, California. Word up.
That's right.
So I'm so glad that you're here, sis. We are going to talk about it today. Did you see the theme? Did you
I
see that theme?
did. I did. And it's so timely and relevant. That's just how the Holy Spirit works. It's so timely and relevant.
Tell me why. Tell me why that this title of why leaders should seek elevation. Why is that timely for you?
Because I have struggled with having the charge to lead. It's always placed on my lap. And sometimes when you have a natural talent and people see that in you and they offer you um, roles and titles that deep down inside it's good to serve. It's good to serve in those spaces. Oftentimes it comes with resentment or because you want to be comfortable, you want to be
Mm.
stagnated oftentimes. And it takes one to really get centered and focused and say, this is good. This is good, not just for me, but for the work that I know I should do is to fulfill my purpose.
Mm. And
So
I'm
it's
so glad you said that. Purpose.
mhm, mhm, purpose.
Purpose. Wow. Well, let's get into it. Elevation. No, I know we have a definition that we're going to pop up here. And again, like we were talking about earlier, there's several ways to define elevate, but this is the one we're going to choose to use today. Raise or lift something, or you can put someone
Mm-hmm.
to a higher position. Elevate something or someone. Y'all gonna have to excuse all this drag racing that's happening that right here on my block right now.
Right now, right?
Listen, somebody is having a good time over there where you are. Okay, somebody got some money on the line or something.
Street takeovers, huh?
Oh my god, they trying to get their Vin Diesel on out there, Fast and Furious.
You would think, because they need to elevate right now. Apparently, they
Oh
need
my goodness.
to elevate. So we may have some cameos happening in the background while
Right.
we're talking about elevation. But yes, to elevate, to lift something higher. Chris,
Yeah.
you're here.
Okay.
Let's talk about it, sir.
Okay.
When was the last time you intentionally sought after elevating yourself? When was it?
Oh man, that is a great question. And I think honestly, I might have to say I don't know if I ever really have. I think that this is a real good conversation to have because I think you might have the tendency, just like Dr. Davis just pointed out, where other people see something in you, but you don't quite see it or you don't quite take that leap. And so I don't know if I necessarily have elevated myself, but there has been times where other people was like, you would be a really good blank, or you would be a really good blank. And it's like, okay. So other than that, I mean, I did take the reins to start my own business and become an entrepreneur. And I feel like in a lot of ways that like elevated myself, that like I was like elevating my life a little bit. And I'm trying to get a little more elevation in that field. So maybe that's a good answer, I guess.
Excuse you, sir. Excuse you. I love it. Did you hear him, Dr. Ayanna, how his comments
Right.
started? I don't think I've ever done that.
I
And
But
mean,
then
people have said,
entrepreneurship.
right, by the way, I have my own company, my own business.
well, I don't know. I mean, do you consider that an elevation? I mean, some people looked at it like you have a job and then you go from a job to jobless. Like that's how some people look at entrepreneurship.
Well, let me ask you this, sir. When you left your job and
hmm
you started your own thing, did you feel elevated or defeated?
I definitely didn't feel defeated. I definitely didn't feel defeated. When I was at my job, that was the defeat. I was like, man,
Mm,
it's gonna be like this every day.
right.
I
Mm-hmm.
was like, nah, we either got to find something else or do something for myself. And I was
Hmm.
going that route.
Come
But
on now.
hold on. I don't know. When was the last time you elevated yourself, Dr. Harris?
Well, thank you for asking. Um,
You wanted to, I'm leaving.
okay. And I've talked about this experience a couple of times, but I would have to say the most recent time was in 2022. Was that just last year? Amazing, right? What a difference a year makes, I tell you. So yeah, what was kind of forced into a professional situation where I was not being elevated professionally, and I kind of had to decide, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to take control of my next move, or do I want to have a different organization kind of tell me what's next for me? Or did I want to make that decision? So I decided to make that decision for myself. And that included me looking for another position professionally, because I just felt that I wasn't being elevated for sure. So it was the opposite of elevation that was happening. And so I was like, no, I know that I'm a good leader. I know that I have a great skill set. I know I have room to grow, but I know that I'm not walking backwards, and that's not the role that I know my Heavenly Father has for me. So I'm going to move forward. So I started applying for different positions, and my current position pretty much elevated me. But in the meantime, between time, while I was transitioning and just really kind of battling and looking for discernment in those things, I started working on the gifted table as well. I built my website. I got connected with an amazing producer. And this was something I've always wanted to do as far as, something broadcasting, talking with people, really focusing on women. And so this was just like a great elevation for me. This really positioned me in a different way. Now, has it taken me higher? I'll say my heart is full for sure. And I think right now there's nowhere to go but up. So, yeah, that's the last time I sought out, intentionally sought out
Mm.
elevation. And that
Mm,
came with support from mentors, that came with listening to people who were giving me tools and resources and just making sure that I wasn't doing anything haphazardly, but doing it with intention, doing it with focus, and making sure I was putting my best foot forward. So that's my time. Thank you so much. So we're gonna throw this right at you, Dr. Ayanna. And if there's anyone here who's connected with us right now, thank you for joining us here at the Gifted Table. Put in the chat, when was the last time either you elevated yourself or you sought out elevation from someone else? And what was the circumstance? So send us a chat. And thank you for being with us. We see Curtis Johnson is on here. Okay. All right,
That's
Curtis
a
Johnson.
colleague. He's a colleague, one of my favorite colleagues.
Oh, well, all right. All right, Dr. Davis, tell us your turn. What was your last time or most recent time?
Okay, professionally, when I ran for school board for Compton Unified School District, that was a great risk for me. It was totally out of my comfort zone. To become an elected official, a politician. However, I always say that I am an educator who ran for office. I haven't quite graduated to saying using the term as a politician. So personally, I try and elevate every day. With each day I wake up, I know as long as I'm breathing, I can start all over again. As long as my heart is beating, I have a new opportunity to be great, to battle, certain fears and doubts that I may have, to work on my confidence, my competence. Each day I'm trying to elevate. It's an everyday challenge for me. I meditate, I read a lot of scriptures and focus on what my purpose is, what is best for me. I learned a statement from Oprah Winfrey. She always subscribed to asking the universe, what's the best next move for me to make? And I often say that every day. So it's elevation time for me. And with that comes with peeling off layers, decluttering people and places and things. So yeah, so that I can truly and honestly say that the last time I elevated professionally, in a greater space in education, is to become an elected official for a governing board of trustees. And personally, every day I'm trying to elevate to be the best version of myself.
I love that. And we didn't even talk about it. So thank you so much for reminding me to give you this space and this opportunity for you to just tell our guests, our listeners here at the gifted table, just a little bit about your background. We know it's education. We know you're an elected board member, which is not an easy task, my dear. So just tell us a little bit about who you are and
Who
why
I
you
am.
be here
I
at the
am
table.
a Compton native, and I am a proud Compton native. I come from a wonderful family of educators and government employees, so I'm merged naturally into both. I graduated from USC in political science, so I did kind of marry education and politics together. I have a master's in education administration, a master's in educational leadership and policy studies, and a doctorate degree in education. I focus on organizational change and leadership. So what I'm most passionate about, which changes, it shifted. I
Mhm.
did research on the knowledge skill sets, motivational factors, and organizational factors that teachers need to support Black
Mm,
boys in public preschool. So I come with a lot of experience and expertise in early childhood.
mhm.
Predominantly, that's where I've been an administrator for over 25 years in the field of early education with a particular neighboring school district.
All right.
And I have a son. I have a wonderful son. He is a therapist. He graduated from Xavier University, and
All right now,
he
HBCU.
also, yes, and he's a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. So,
All right. All right. And thank you so much for telling us that because I apologize. I didn't give you that opportunity at the beginning because, we just, when we come to the table, it's like, okay, where's your plate? And let's just put some stuff on it so we can just get into it. So
hey,
we just gonna get into it.
it's buffet style,
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sometimes it's potluck because everybody is bringing something that's
right?
just like, yes, to the table.
Y'all making me
Oh,
hungry.
whenever Chris pop in,
Y'all, y'all making me hungry. All right, come on now. No, yes, I was just sitting here and listening. I think that I had a question, and my question was like, what have you ever had to deal with somebody that was trying to stop your elevation? Let me first say that when you said, I see some other people that was responding to it in our chat as well, that you're saying like you try to elevate yourself every day, to
Mhm.
lift yourself up is what I'm hearing, whether that be spiritually, emotionally, you like literally like lifting yourself up. So I like that. I
Yes.
can resonate with that. I need to put that into practice. So back to my question, has there been a time for either of you where like elevation was an option, professionally, but maybe there was somebody trying to, stop that elevation? And Miss Melanie, if I stepped on your toes, just know I'm here to produce. Okay. All right.
Listen, sir. Listen, sir. Whenever you pop in, I know it has a purpose. I know it has a purpose. I'm like, don't do that, Chris. We don't do that here. But yes, and I was going to touch on what she said every day as well. As our guest Joshua Johnson, thank you, sir, for being here, for taking your seat at the table, and for acknowledging that. Yes, elevating every day. Um, I think that's a great question, and let's go ahead and start with that one. I have some others, but yes, what have you ever? And I'm going to let
Oh
Dr.
God.
Ayanna start with her answer first. She is the guest at the table. The
Oh
guest.
gosh. Yeah, one of my most painful experiences was someone who looked like me. You know, uh, it came from someone that looked like me.
Mm,
And it was very painful. I was so sad. I was very depressed. And I was, literally attacked, blocked. My character, my ethics was questioned. And I was devastated. However, during that time period, you hear all these scriptures, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. God will make your enemies your footstool. You hear that as a child growing up,
mhm,
but when you actually face it and you have to rely on that principle, I felt I was a little shaky. I was a little shaky. I was afraid, like what could happen? These people are coming after my career. They're attacking my character. But God is so great. Boy, did I pull through that
mhm,
in ways that I just couldn't imagine. I'm so grateful that I had through that experience. That was on the job. And then you have to be very careful and selective of who you choose as a mate, because you could be literally be sleeping with the enemy. So I've been in experiences where maybe a partner was not very supportive, and maybe subconsciously or subliminally was doing things to sabotage my growth. So yes, Chris, I have experienced some deep hurt from people that was very close to me and looked like me.
mm. Yes, I think I can ditto what you just said as far as, they say sometimes your own will be the ones that will do you wrong, you know. Those who are the closest to you will be the ones that will, sometimes be the most detrimental to your spirit, to your heart space, to this centering of who you are, and and how that impacts how you move in your profession, how you move in your personal life. So yeah, similar situation. And the thing about it is, and see, we're gonna start going to a whole nother level here. The thing about it is sometimes people do not realize, and when I say, like, say you and I, we don't realize that the way someone is coming to us to attack us, they don't even realize how they're being used in the spiritual realm, and how it's not even of them, but they're just being used because there's something greater, there's something bigger, there's a breakthrough, there's something that's about to happen that the enemy, the greatest enemy, does not want you to fulfill. And so they're used in that space to, like you said, to sabotage, to mess with your self-esteem, to make you question your value, whatever it may be. But listen here, when you get on the other side of that thing, whatever that thing is, and if those people had not stepped up to that
Mm-hmm.
assignment, you may
Mm-hmm.
not be where you are right now.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes those are the things that make us want to move when we just want to plant our feet and stand still.
Mm-hmm. 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 I always say Jesus couldn't have resurrected if it wasn't a Judas.
Child, listen.
That's a word. That's okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is so true. So I think, and I think it's how we come out of things when someone, that was such a great question that Chris asked us. Um, it's how we deal with it and how we come out on the other side, which
Mm-hmm.
is a testament to our character, our integrity, right? Because that's when those things really show up, when you're in the midst of a trial, and how you react and respond to those tough areas happening in your life, that
It's
pressure.
mm-hmm. It's a conscientious effort
Hmm.
for me to decide every day, each day, that I'm unbreakable.
Can
I
you
have,
repeat that for the people in the back? I don't think they heard it.
it's a conscious effort. I have to wake up and decide, choose on this day that I'm unbreakable, because you can decide to fold if you choose to,
Hmm.
but I make
Yes,
a decision. I have
yes.
to decide I'm unbreakable today.
Hmm. I love it. And
Mhm.
as we're talking about this topic, why should leaders seek out elevation? Why should we seek it out? Um, That's the question I just want to pose to you, because I think a lot of times as women leaders, we don't necessarily seek out to be elevated. Sometimes we're just happy and content and just thankful that someone has put us in a leadership position, and thank you, we're doing this. But I think we need to break out of that mode. And, we have the book Lean In, and I'm like, no, we need to lean on as something bigger.
Mhm.
And we don't often say, you know what? I'm ready to go to the next level. Who's on my board of directors? Who's on my team that can help elevate me? So,
Mhm.
why should we do that? What are your thoughts on why we should do that as women leaders?
I could say what made me to decide to run for school board, because I felt like I've had the mentorships, I've had the opportunities, I've sat in spaces to impact a lot of others in a lot of different places, but I've never given back to the city that I grew up in, where it's students who
Mm,
look like me or who had the same challenges or experiences living in low socioeconomic environments.
mm,
So, to be selfless, and I just decided to not be selfish. When I took that position to make changes with the governing board, the policies, look at contracts and student achievements, how can we move the district over, get parents involved, increase enrollment? I bring that expertise because I've served years, 25 years in school leadership. I've sat on many committees. I've worked on so many projects. I've hired talented teachers, fired teachers, hired school staff members, hired principals, sat on, various instruction and curriculum designs, read many a books, but never have I given back to the community that raised and molded me. So that's why we have to elevate, not for ourselves, not for our own self-grandizement or our own egos and pride. It's actually to give back, to serve. And it was a time I was going through a bout of depression, feeling stagnated and stuck. And I laid in the bed and I was looking up in the ceiling and I said, okay, all right, God, the next opportunity that comes in front of me, I won't say no. I'll say yes. Just give me a sign that it's you. Just let me know that it's you sending this opportunity to me. And a USC, the School of Education, they kept calling me to say, hey, Ayanna, we know you're an alum. You came through SC. You're in education. We're launching this new doctoral program, and we want you to be a part of this program. At that time, I was like, yeah, right. I promised God a book of Bibles and everyone else that I knew that I was not going back to school. 2 masters, a bachelor's degree. I was just done. Like, I'm done with school forever and ever. And they kept calling me. They kept calling me. They wouldn't take no for an answer. We want you in this inaugural cohort. And that's when I remembered the prayer. I asked God to show me, make it effortless, that what's next for me, He would present to me. And He presented that program at USC, and I flourished that program. And the doors have opened up for me. So when I'm offered an effortless blessing, I feel like it's my duty to serve, and that means to elevate so I can bring others behind me. I can give my talents and skills. That's my tithe. That's my tithe and offering, you know,
Hmm.
to give back.
I love that. And uh, several things that you have said is that you first have to kind of start with yourself, right? Before you can even elevate someone else. You have to figure out, it's kind of like even that self love. How can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? How can
Mm-hmm.
you elevate someone else if you haven't even elevated yourself, right? Because right now you're just being an imposter. If you
Exactly.
can't do that, you're being an imposter.
Exactly.
When it comes to women in leadership roles, what have you noticed about people being intentional in whatever profession? Not even only in education, because now you're sitting on a board. That's a serious leadership role, and then just throughout your experiences in life, what have you noticed about women in general just being targeted so that they can elevate?
Targeted.
Hmm.
You
Like
know,
someone really sticking out, yeah. Because I think about some of my one of my mentors in particularly, right, who became the first African American um, superintendent of a county,
mm,
of Riverside County, to be more specific. And it's
excuse
like, what does it take to help elevate someone to that level, right? You're the first one in over 100 years. And how do you seek out someone to help elevate them? So anything that you've noticed just with women being elevated, because I don't feel that people elevate us enough,
me. Mm-mm.
even amongst
Right.
ourselves.
I know women who have elevated in spaces like that are on their way. I hate
Hmm.
to say it, but sometimes it's often others who are pulling them up. Sometimes we
Hmm.
don't reach back.
Hmm.
Sometimes we don't. We don't support enough one another like we should. Oftentimes I notice that.
Hmm.
There's a book called The Other Black Girl. I can't remember who the author is. And the book is so dynamic because it was a group of, I believe the behind scenes person was a white male, but
Hmm.
he put other black women in and they sought after which black girl that they were going to groom and bring in, and they almost like molded her how to speak, how to dress, and yada yada, to play the game to move up. So they
Hmm.
were selecting certain black women. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting
Mm-hmm.
phenomenon because we all can read that book and identify with certain characters in that book. No judgment. Is it a good thing to be able to play the role, play the game, learn the political ethic, the office ethics, and the politics is what I call them to move
Not
up.
the politics. Because you got to be politically savvy.
You have to be political savvy or political tricky. You know what I mean? So, so yeah.
You better bring your stuff to the table, honey.
So and it's a decision to make. What is it worth for you to move in spaces like that? Because we know with this intersectionality that Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw speaks about at
Mm-hmm.
UCLA,
Mm-hmm.
our double whammy of being a female and being black. So we have that
Mm.
intersectionality. And I do know that studies do show, and there's a powerful sister out there named Dr. Um, Kimani Sands Norrington, and she does work on Black women in toxic work environments,
Mm.
specifically in school systems. So as we're elevating, we have to make sure that either A, we're going to support that sister over there in the Riverside County, support her, nurture her to make sure she's successful, and not just leave them out there. Because a lot of times we get in the spaces, but we just let one another sink.
That is so true. And she has since retired, did her job, I mean, and did it wonderfully and left a legacy and still many programs and initiatives that she started are continuing, since she has retired. But I like what you just said, that sometimes it's not even us that are elevating one another. But when we get in these spaces, we have to figure out how do we maintain it, right? It's not enough just to get there, but you got to get there, stay there, and flourish there. Um, but oftentimes, we're the ones not supporting one another.
Right.
It's so sad. It's so sad,
Even
but
getting
true.
sick on the job. We got
Yeah.
to make sure that balance, that
Mm-hmm.
as we're giving that output, how do you manage the output and the input? What do you give it
Mm-hmm.
to yourself and not just giving it all to the job? Because women, I see so many of us, we dying on the job.
Yes, that is so true, and especially African American women. We had an episode not too long ago where I was one of the guests was sharing. We were both sharing just about how it's almost an underappreciation of the female Black leader, and we have to be super aware of so many things wearing these roles. You know, how we dress, how we speak, how we wear our hair. Thank you, Crown Act. Um, um, how we even give directions and even how we lead, because people are quick to throw out words that are negative, will say aggressive instead of
Aggressive,
passionate, right?
angry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's just that why can't you just choose better words to describe how we lead? And oftentimes you'll find that we as leaders, we'll get into a leadership position. We may stay in that position for a long time, not necessarily elevating unless we've networked and connected with the right people politically, right?
Hmm.
Um, Maybe politically or the politics, like you said, but you'll see how people move based on their network, which may sometimes determine their net worth, right?
Right.
But then there's, the majority who will just be in their position, going day by day, leading as they leading, but then people will start to find things that you're not doing right, or you need to do this better, or there was a complaint over here. If you're in education, a parent said this, someone noticed this, a staff member, this, and the other. But yet, if it was someone of a different gender or
Mm.
of a different race,
Hmm.
or just maybe not as much melanin, they may not have the same type of reaction or evaluation coming their way.
Hmm.
And that still holds true for a lot
Hmm.
of us. And I just really want women, like you said, to support one another and bring their gifts here to the gifted table.
Hmm.
Bring them to the gifted table. Bring them to the gifted.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Great place to chat and chew.
Yes, chat and chew, chat and chew.
Mhm.
What has been an experience for you? And thank you so much for those of you who are connecting and just um, and leaving your comments for us. Thank you so much. Okay, Curtis Johnson said, "Queens stand tall and will always attract either love or opposition." Yeah,
Ooh,
you better speak on it. Either
ooh,
love or
or
opposition.
opposition. Oh, I said, ooh, I needed that one.
I think Mr. Johnson is trying to be a guest right here.
Yes, yes, he's very talented in many areas, you know?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is so
Yes.
for love or opposition, depending because people are threatened, right? There's
Hey,
those are those who are threatened and those who will see the triumph and will cherish us so that we're either being threatening someone or we're being cherished by someone.
oh,
My
wow.
goodness, my goodness. From your chair, from your seat at the table, what has been one of your most impactful experiences as as a leader?
My most impactful, I have two teachers who had aspirations to become principals. And my greatest work is when I can help someone support and allow them to reach their dreams and their goals. That's most impactful for me is when I actually can give what I have to offer, help, expand someone's knowledge, increase their skill sets, help them find their motivational pace, and support them so they can deliver and be available. I believe that leaders should be available and remember that building human capital is the main goal. We have to make sure that we're about our walk, what we say we're going to do to help others, that we're available to do it. So I carve out time. I think that's my priority to make sure that I'm supporting the next generation to fill my seat. We have to pass that baton and leave the legacy to someone else. So Curtis, Mr. Johnson, he was one of my instructional coaches, and I was great when he decided to take the lead and apply for principal positions, and now he's a principal. So that's impactful for me.
Come on now. Come on now. Come through with the shared leadership. Come through with the shared leadership. And now being on a board, that's a huge, huge accomplishment. What are some things that you're seeing right now in your local community? What are some things that maybe was on your platform? You kind of spoke about what your platform and your
Mhm.
why for running for board. What are some things that you want to do now to help elevate people in those spaces?
So I am a union person. I'm the vice president of my union, which is the Associated Administrators of Los Angeles. So I serve and represent early ed principals. What I wanted to bring to my role is to settle a lot of the contractual agreements, the negotiations that was left on pause for the last 2 or 3 years, because I come from a labor space and I'm the only board member that taught and as a school leader. So I come from a school site perspective. I know what work is involved with running a school. I know what's needed to teach students. I know that morale and when people feel valued and they're validated, and to validate a person is to let them see the money, pay them what they owe them. You know what I mean? Give them what they
Mm-hmm.
want.
Yes.
And so I think that was my first charge for myself. Was before I ran, I met with each of the labor unions and all the collective bargaining units and asked them, okay, tell me what do you need? What do you want? How can I
Mm-hmm.
support you? And that was it, because I know students can't achieve if there's not staff retention. If people are revolving doors with teachers, custodian staff, office manager positions, if people are not in place and they stay in place with some continuity, then I know students can achieve. So that was my perspective, is to come in and try and make the staff members, the employees of the district whole.
Mm. And yeah, and that's elevation on a whole nother level. What does that look like, having an educator on the board, not just someone who oftentimes you'll say, "Oh, I used to volunteer in my child's classroom or this, that, and the other," but you have had almost every role in education, so you can speak from personal experiences as well as those of your staff and your team that you lead. So how are you received on a board as a leader in education now, and a leader in the community?
Initially, because I was asking questions that they may not have been aware or to know what to ask, I saw a little pushback and a little bit of concern. And finally, one of the board members said, "Oh, I see. Okay, explain that. Explain it to me more so I can know where you're going." And once I and here's another thing, I had to learn to not speak in education lingo. I had to. Not everyone understands what I had to really make it plain. Not that they're very intelligent, highly intelligent group of folks, but I know that educators have a language. We have our own, you
We
know,
have too many acronyms.
we have too many
Too many
acronyms.
acronyms.
Right. So once, it was very clear that I was able to speak to the superintendent and ask certain questions to the superintendent. He knows that I know what I'm talking about. And then I guess there was a feeling of relief because he knew that someone on the board could understand his perspective and what he needed. Because until you walk in the education spaces, it can almost sound like foreign language when you're talking to a person that spent all of their career in just maybe just HR, or spent their career in probation, or you know what I mean. There are some gaps with understanding, so I think I brought that piece to bridge the gap.
And that's a whole nother level of support, with you being so connected with education and then being one of the supervisors of the superintendent.
All right.
Let's just put that out there.
So like even questions that it maybe
Your employee.
so that's so even question like so I'm like, so what's your goals for school safety this year?
Yes,
One
yes,
of the things to ask, like, what are his specific goals? What are your
yes,
specific goals?
yes. I love it. I love it. I'm finding that I don't know, just the more that I'm meeting with women in different spaces, no matter what their profession is, that there's just so many similarities. You could be a domestic engineer, that's the name I love to call our at-home moms, you
Hmm.
know, or you could be sitting in the C-suite, and there's still this level of pouring yourself out to those who you're serving in whatever that space is, giving everything you have, sometimes most times going above and beyond, just so people can see how you operate and that your capacity is just as high, if not more stellar, than your male companion or what have you. And then we have to sit back and still remember the other hats that women wear. You might be a mother, you might be a caretaker, and just how you need to have time to breathe and decide, am I still being lifted, or
Mm-hmm.
am I doing all the lifting?
Mm-hmm.
You ever see that, or even find yourself in that space where
Oh yes.
you're
You,
you're you're the lifter of, but you're not being lifted yourself?
you can lose yourself.
Mm,
You can lose yourself in your profession. You can lose yourself in
mhm.
your mate, your children, and to that balance act. And sometimes it's like having a split personality because you have to switch. I mean, really, you have to switch your roles, switch your hat, take off.
Yes,
To
yes.
being a boss. Sometimes you can
Mm-hmm,
bring that bossiness home to your man, or
mm-hmm.
they have to take that off.
Yeah.
Take it off. Let it
Mm-hmm,
go. You don't have to run the show all the time. And I concentrate on what am I giving out all the time, and am I giving myself anything inside? And
mm-hmm.
I've run depleted before. I've hit brick walls.
Yes.
Found I was just going and going and going, spreading myself too thin. I was nurturing everyone else, students, parents, teachers, appeasing my boss, my supervisors, and I literally wasn't giving anything to myself at all.
Mm.
I can
Mm-hmm.
remember, like, just taking a bath. A bath was not something for me to relax in. It was hurry up, take a bath, so I can get ready. What I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As I'm older and wiser, I'm valuing myself a little better, a lot better. I do believe in self care, and
Mm-hmm.
um, because to be effective and to be efficient, you have to be whole. You have to be
Mm.
as whole as possible. You have to have your
Absolutely.
own cup full, you know? So
Absolutely.
I'm learning that. I'm learning that.
Absolutely. Yes, and comes with coming with that is also having that relationship equity. So when you have those relationships with people and you have to make a withdrawal from either connecting with them, you have to step back, or you have to let them know, I need time, I need space. You can take that withdrawal from that, from that relationship you built up, and they'll understand and not feel that, oh, you're not fulfilling your requirements, or you're not leading as you should lead. But no, I need to take care of me before I can take care of anyone else. They tell us all the time on the airplane, you
Put your
better put your mask on first.
Yes.
You better put
It
your
comes
mask
with
on
guilt
first.
sometimes. Sometimes you feel guilty about taking care of yourself.
But
And
why do we do that as women, though?
I
Why is
think
that something we do as women?
I think conditioning messages about being selfish. Oh, you're selfish. You know,
Mm.
I think sometimes the negative connotation with the word selfish is just it's a
Mm-hmm.
misdiagnosed word. You know what I mean? I really
Mm-hmm.
believe that to be selfish and maybe not self absorbed where you hurting
Mm-hmm.
other people, but sometimes, a lot of times, a hard no because I need to take care of myself. Call it what you may. Call it what you may. But I do know that I can't give what I don't have.
Right.
I've tried it before. I
Yeah.
tried it.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
we need to live through our positions and not die in our positions, and
Mhm.
that's what will cause us to have all kind of health issues. All kind of health issues.
And calling out, like, something that you mentioned about, even colorism
Mm-hmm.
and being a black woman in spaces. And I know some sisters in higher education, they're catching hell.
Mm-hmm.
Catching hell in higher ed. That's a really competitive and oftentimes could be very toxic for black women. I've heard
Yes.
a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about the being aggressive when you're really just being assertive,
Mm-hmm. Or you're just passionate about what you're talking about.
passionate about what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a sister, one of my sorority sisters,
Mm-hmm.
proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Okay. Proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Go ahead
Love it. I love it. So, she works in a position of student affairs, right?
though.
In Greek life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, with Greek life comes with you may have to do some, expelling students or
Right.
suspensions
Right.
or what have you.
Right.
And instead of the department dealing with a, an egregious a charge against apparently it seemed like it was a white girl, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
white
Mm-hmm.
girl, and this is in another state in the South.
Mm-hmm.
The girl reversed the charges and said, "Well, I just don't like her tone, how she spoke to me."
I'm sorry. Let me fix my face. Yes. Go ahead.
Tone, now
Continue.
you know haze the hell out of some girls, you know what I mean, in these little sorority houses with and
Right.
it reversed it back to well, her tone was
Wow.
harsh, the way she spoke to me. And she is
Mm.
a pretty
Mm-hmm.
chocolate dark sister. And
Mm-hmm.
we wondered how much of her body size and her
Right.
complexion, was that all about?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we gotta support and we keep these things silent.
Absolutely.
We don't
Yes.
talk about this enough.
We have to speak out
We have to speak out.
and have to support one another. Definitely. So what's next for you, sis? What's next for you? You are already, you know, on the board, running your school site, speaking, doing all these wonderful things. What's next for you? What's elevating you next, either
Next,
professionally or personally, or both? Hey, tell us
personally, I
everything.
want to work on fun. I want to have some fun. I want to create some different healthy hobbies personally. Professionally, I may seek a higher office to get back to a larger area, the community. I deal with student achievement. I
Mm.
think I may work with, want to work with the families, more with family
Oh,
involvement and policies that's
yes.
going to impact the life trajectory of people in these urban settings.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking about that, praying on that, and I've been avoiding a calling that's been in my heart. I keep hearing that little Holy Spirit whisper.
Wait a
I,
minute now. You talking about it now on the table. You didn't put your gift on the table. What's the gift you're running from?
I'm not just. I'm praying on that. I'll think
Not
about that.
Jonah. Jonah, where you going?
Maybe state assembly. Maybe we'll see.
Okay.
And then I've been thinking about eventually getting to a documentary.
I love it.
Hmm.
I love it. And and being in that type of space, what would be your focus and why?
I would focus on Black women in leadership. I really would. Why? Uh, I think we need to tell our stories. There's so many of us,
Mhm.
who are doing this work. We're spread out. We're spread out who are doing this work. And I think it's just time for us to collectively come together and share what's happening to us in specifically in education,
Yeah.
in these
Yeah.
education systems. And we know that from history, education does have um, a historical foundation of racism. That's why we needed Brown versus Board of Education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think we need to tell our stories. We do.
Tell our stories. Yes. Tell more of our stories because we have some amazing stories. I think
Mhm.
that'd be awesome. Please don't forget about your girl.
Yeah.
If you I'm not gonna say if that happens, but when that happens, because it's going
Hmm.
to happen. We're gonna speak life into all of these things. We are for sure. Now looking back, sis, looking back, as we're talking about this theme of elevating ourselves, what would you tell yourself now that you didn't know, say back then, about how to seek elevation, seek to elevate who you are?
I would tell myself, you are absolutely foolish to doubt your capabilities. Self doubt, I sh- that should have given myself a spanking.
Hmm.
So I would definitely tell myself to knock it off with doubting, who I know, and I know what I can do. Like I know what I'm able to do and capable of doing, but I allowed just a little bit of fear of not being validated by certain people. That's what I would tell myself now, that who loves me most, my mother, my grandmother, my family, my son, those people who support me, who really know me and nurture me, they were enough. That was enough validation. And that's what I would tell myself. Stop self doubting, kill the self doubt. That's it.
Yeah, I think I would probably have to tap my hand on that one too, sis. I would do the same. I don't know why we do that. Now, looking ahead, you've already shared some awesome things. Looking ahead, you said you're looking to possibly do a documentary, perhaps moving in some different spaces beyond the board, maybe city, statewide, or what have you. In order to do those things, what is it that you want and what is it that you need?
I want I want to impact and really truly impact the lives of my community. I really want to see how can we how can we just make things better for students and their families, economically, helping with social injustices. Um, I, how can we make school experiences good for children, especially children and we have focused on Black student achievement. We focus on the Black boys, but
Mm.
now we have these girls who are falling by
Talk
the
about it.
wayside. You know what I
Talk
mean?
about it.
How,
Yes.
so how can what can I do? What can we do collectively to make sure that girls who look like me get the opportunity, especially with these rulings of affirmative action.
Yes.
It's really it's sad. It's
The
sad that
harm. The
the
harm.
harm, the harm.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to continue to let God lead me and my purpose. I really want to get through and see things through with that. That's professionally, and the why is because I had a great opportunity. I did have mentors. I had some struggles and some challenges. I came in the '80s in Compton.
Mm-hmm.
I had a gang infested and the crack epidemic. I came through
Mm.
that,
Yes.
and it took some resiliency and it took some focus. It took some determination that I didn't even know that I had. Looking back, I see how I was able to navigate through that. So I didn't do it for naught.
Right.
Well, I want to help that with I want to help with that. I want to help people get through
Mm.
some adverse times and adverse situations.
Yeah. And what I hear you saying, sis, is that you want to provide equity and access
Equity
so that people can have opportunities to
and
do
inclusion.
above and beyond
Yes,
what they even know. And
yes.
you're gonna do it because you're gonna speak life. And I already know you already have a team of people who are like, oh, is that what she said? Now, hold on, let me get my notebook. What she said? You're gonna make those connections if you already don't have it. And as I said earlier, your network, ah,
It's your
yes,
net worth.
yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna expand. You're gonna see some expansions going in there. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that you took the invitation and you pulled your seat up close to the gifted table, and for being here and for sharing your experiences and reminding us of why we need to elevate, why we need to elevate. So thank you, sis, for taking
All
the time.
right. Thank you. God
This
bless
has
you.
been awesome. Where is Chris? Is he
Chris, he went to
is
get
he
dinner.
gonna
He
do
said we made him hungry. Chris, he's like licking his chops.
what?
Chris, what did you eat?
Meal? Did he have a
I
meal?
have been listening. Okay. I have been taking my notes. All right. I did not leave to get any food.
Well, I thought the missus might have brought you a plate. She's so wonderful. And thank you for being here, Mrs. Hamilton.
Yeah, she always taking care of me with the little one as well.
Okay.
He was going off, but a really great show, elevating and elevation. And I have one last question if we have time for it.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, for the each of you, if there is another higher place that you could go in your profession, which I'm sure that there is. I know you talked a little bit about it, but the question really is like, what is keeping you from getting there, or like how high do you want to go? And then if you could give just like what are some things that you need to do in order to get to that next level or the highest level, or is there a highest level?
You done made her take off her glasses again.
Good question. That's my meditation right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm journaling about right now. Because, of course, people approach you with different offers of, hey, suggestions. Maybe you should consider this, or we're looking at you over here for that. And it has to be aligned with what I want. And I want to manage my stress level. Like, what am I willing to do and what I'm not? And what's my lane? You know what I mean? Like I'm not a finance person, so I wouldn't be a director of school financing. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Budgeting the budget operations. That's not who I am. That's not my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I find my lane and I
Mm-hmm.
stay in my lane.
Yeah,
Mhm.
All
I like
right.
that.
All right.
So you're not gonna let me just say ditto, huh? You want?
Nah, of course not. Of course not. What's the highest height? Where you trying
I
to
can't say
go? What's
same. I
keeping
can't say same. I can't say not
you?
it. Not it. Not gonna do
No.
it.
What is the highest height and what's keeping you from there, Dr.
Ooh,
Melanie
why did his
Harris?
face get all close? Well, I would say, as Dr. Ayana said, that is definitely something that is in the prayer time, meditation time, devotional time, and journaling time. However, I I really feel and believe my next higher level is not in education itself. So it's not connected to a school district, but it's in alignment with education. So as I've spoken before, I definitely want to bridge my my broadcast background love that I want to do with education and just at a higher level. I would love to create a larger platform through the gifted table that's where women are elevated often and where they're celebrated often, where they're able to speak just profoundly about their experiences. And then when they leave that space, they're leaving with a gift. They brought gifts with them, but they're leaving with a gift as well. So I believe that's for me, that would be like my higher calling that I would love to do. And that may be bridging, like I said, and aligning within the educational spaces, but not exclusively with education. And so yeah, I'm open to whatever, the universe, whatever my purpose has been ordained. And I want to keep life flexible. I
Mm.
want to keep life flexible because I was told a while ago that he who controls your money controls your time. And
Mm.
I want to absolutely have control over not only my time, my money, but my time. So I want to be able to determine where I go, how I move, if I'm doing speaking engagements, interacting with people, traveling across the country, traveling across the world to interact with women of purpose, passion, perseverance in their positions. The 4 P's of the gifted table.
That's right.
So,
Okay.
that will be my greatest elevation
Mm.
that I can see for right now.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both for answering the question. I appreciate that.
And thank you for asking.
Of course.
Now, can we flip it back to you?
Sure, you can flip it back to me. Um, I think my highest, I don't know, the highest elevation that it could go, and maybe that's part of what I need to do now, which is learn and actually like look to see where I want to go and where I want to take it. Um, in terms of my entrepreneurship, I know, like, since I was young, there's always been a calling on me for ministry, and so I work and practice in that, every week, every day, and I'm just going to let God take me where he wants to take me with that. One day he might shut all this other stuff down and just say, "Okay, Chris, here you are. Here is your flock. Cut that all." I don't know, but I'm prayerful that I can merge the two in some way.
Mhm.
So video and production work
Mhm.
is where I'm at. If I be selfish about it, if I could be selfish about it, I want to see my name on some credits. I
Okay.
definitely want to see my
That
name on
part,
some credit, and not the ones that I credited myself to, but
that
I want
part.
to be able to see my name in some credits and really achieve something, higher than what I've been doing on my own. So I think that
Absolutely.
would be my thoughts and how to get there.
Come on now.
I'm gonna do this. What I was here from y'all: patience,
Mhm.
preparation,
Mhm.
and passion to steal one of the 4 P's. To be patient about it and take my time, and
Mhm,
to prepare, have
mhm.
that preparation. For when I get there, I know that I'm there and I can, do the things I'm supposed to do, and just stay passionate about it. And as
Mhm.
long as you're
Yeah.
passionate about it, you know,
Come on now.
that'll be a fuel. That'll
I
be a
Come on
fuel.
say,
now.
I say.
That'll be a
Listen,
fuel.
right?
Yeah.
Amen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this has been amazing. And again, thank you so much. Round of applause for Dr. Ayanna Davis. Thank you
Thank
for being here,
you.
sis. thank you, Chris, for
Thank you.
always popping in, being right there, just making things happen in front of, behind the scenes, and all that. And to you, our audience, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful people who showed up, who participated, who put things in our chat. Don't forget, if you're not already a subscriber to the Gifted Table, please be sure to subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and then share this link. Share this link with someone who you know need to be reminded to elevate themselves, that there is another level, there is a next level, and we have to keep pushing to go higher. So I'm thankful to all of you who took your seat here at the table. And remember, stay grounded, innovative, fierce, transparent every day. In other words, stay gifted. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.